There I am. Hi, everybody. It's Kate Richbourg, live from my jewelry studio here in South San Francisco, California. And we've got a lot of stuff to go over today. Hello. So today, what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to share a few things. I've got some ring bands I'm going to show you how to make. I've got a special order that utilizes these guys here. So I'm going to show you how to use a foolproof way to size a ring band. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the shenanigans that went on here in my studio last weekend that have to do with indigo dyeing. It was really fun. And I'm going to show you some of my inspirations for 2016 and how I'm going to wrangle all of those ideas together, because I think you guys will pick up some good tips that way. Okay, so let's ease into this so I don't fumble around with tools. I'm going to start with the indigo dyeing. How does that sound? Does that sound good? Sounds like it sounds good to all you guys. Awesome. So this is something that a friend of mine introduced. It always looks backwards on the screen, but this is the indigo dye kit that I use for indigo dyeing. And my friend Emily kind of turned me on to this. And let me tell you, I want to dye everything with indigo now, everything. It's super easy. And I just actually added these to my product line on my Etsy store, so you guys can find these on there. They're really inexpensive. They're really super easy to use. And I'm going to show you a little bit over here. We're going to walk over and I'm going to show you my setup. As always, just so you guys know, the gateway to all things Kate Richbourg is at katerichbourg.com online. All my classes, my Etsy store, my products, all that kind of good stuff. So let me show you. I have a piece here that I made with my indigo. And this is actually a class that's coming up here in my studio. Hey Ma, how are you? My mom is watching. Thanks. I can't wait to see them soon for the holidays. It's going to be super fun. This is a tote bag, and this is actually my mom's tote bag recipe, her tote bag pattern that she so graciously lent me for class. So if you haven't seen on my new class schedule online, I've got a great tote bag making class that's coming up. I can't remember when. I think it's sometime in January. It's on the schedule, and it's perfect if you don't know how to sew, if you're just a beginning sewer, all of those things. It's a really super easy pattern to learn and to create. Well, this is the indigo that I dyed. This is just canvas fabric. Let me hold it up so you can really see that. See that canvas right there? It's canvas, regular canvas that I got from the fabric store. I just went to one of the big box fabric stores. And you know, canvas is pretty thick and it's also pretty stiff. So I just threw it right into the washing machine to start off. First of all, when you're doing any kind of dyeing, you want to get rid of the sizing on your fabric because sometimes the sizing can prevent the dye from holding really well. So I just threw the fabric, I don't know, in my washing machine with maybe a little bit of soap, and I think I washed it on warm. No big deal. And so it came out really, see that? Really nice and supple. And let me hold it really up to the camera so you can see. See that there? It's really nice and supple. And then I also did some ticking. And ticking you can also find at your regular fabric store. Again, it's pretty stiff. So I threw it right into the washing machine. And I threw this all in the dye pot. And it's made, I think, for a super handsome bag. You can see on the inside, I put a little pocket in there with the ticking. And then you can see one of the things you're going to learn how to do in class, my students will learn. Not only will you be able to make the bag, but we're going to do some leather work where you can come in and learn how to use, see those really nice rivets on with the leather right there. And maybe someday I'll do a tutorial. You know, one of the goals when I talk about goals for 2016, there's some great goals I have for doing some distance teaching for you guys. So those of you who can't make it to my studio in South San Francisco, hopefully we can spend some time together online doing some classes together. But so this is the finished result. This is the kit. Again, on my, hooray, hi Krista, how are you? This is the kit. And let me walk you guys that way over. I'm going to take you out of my holder here. We're going to walk. There we go. That's the holder that I hold my iPad in when I film for you guys. It's my bench vise right there. So let's walk over to where we had the indigo dyeing last weekend here in my studio. And you can see this setup. This cool setup belongs to my friend Emily, who's also doing some classes at my studio and will be doing a class. We're going to be doing a team teaching dyeing class closer to the spring. So again, if you guys are out here in South San Francisco or in the Bay Area, it'll be a cool thing for you guys to do. But I'll put up that info as soon as I get it. But you can see here's the setup. It's pretty simple. Let me show you the cloth, a close-up. This was just cotton, right? And the cotton was inexpensive. You guys, I got it for like a couple bucks a yard, and I used my big box store coupon. And I just got a big bolt of it. And I like all that love, right on. And you can see, let me put this out. Hopefully you guys aren't getting dizzy from me moving you all around. But let me show you this. See that there? That's a pretty cool, isn't that a great design? And that was just done. If I pick it up right here, can you see how the cloth kind of bunches together? And it was just rubber banded all the way down, all the way down. And then after, I'm going to put you guys down right here. Let me spread it out again so you can see it. There we go. There it is. After the rubber bands and everything were taken out, I got this really cool starburst. Let me get real close so you guys can see. The variations of indigo are pretty awesome. Let me show you this one over here. I did some more ticking, which looks like that. And there's a little bit of variation in color, you can see, but I'm really okay with that. And these guys have not actually been rinsed yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them with a little bit of vinegar in my washing machine and then dry them to set the dye, and it should be pretty good. We mixed it in a bucket. Can you see that bucket right there? And there was a rinse bucket right over there, and that stick we just used to stir the bucket just like that. So I've been so busy, the detritus from all of the from the dyeing has been still laying around. All you need, there's some gloves, some rubber bands, and you can see this is one made by my friend Lisa. She did that one, and that's just a folding technique. And there's one more here on the floor. Let me pick it up and show you this one. Come on, shake it out. Shake it out. There we go. So you can kind of see it. There we go. Look at how cool that is. Oh, that's a really good idea to tie the material on the stick because it keeps it submerged, right? And you also can get some good patterns that way. That's a great idea. Super good idea. The cool thing about indigo, and what I should have done, you know, I was kind of a little premature when I emptied this bucket after we were done. The cool thing about indigo is it lasts for a couple of weeks. So you can just put a lid on this bucket and dye with it for a few weeks. If you're doing fabric or if you want to do some experiments, it's pretty cool. And you can see here in this bin right here, these are some of the blocks that were tied onto these pieces to make them square. So both Emily and my friend Lisa are super gifted in the dyeing realm. But I just love these so much. So that's it with the Indigo. Pretty easy to do. You can see we did it right here in my studio. I put down a tarp, and the cool thing about my studio is that it has concrete floors, right? So even if we spilled, it really didn't matter. We could just kind of take it up. So, and there's that piece over there. So we'll see what that stuff becomes. But I'll get this tidied up eventually. You know, no one's seeing it except all you guys out there, but you won't tell. Sure, you're welcome. You're welcome. And there's one last view of my beloved tote bag. I've been using it quite a bit. And again, the kit is right over there. So let me put you guys back in this whole things. Well, sometimes my studio isn't quite as tidy, but now that I have you guys visit on Fridays, it's really keeping me up, being very, very good at cleaning. So I need that. Just ask my mom. I was a little kid. And she'll attest to it. Okay. Oh, yeah, cotton eyelet would be great. You know, when I was looking for stuff to dye, one of the big fabric stores, they had some really cool, it was kind of like a cotton fabric that was tucked and folded and stuff. It really would have looked nice. And that Indigo bucket will last, like I said, a couple of weeks, and you can dye a whole bunch of stuff with it. It's not scary, it's super easy. When winter ends and springtime comes, it's a great project to do outside. So it's a lot of fun to work with. So I totally recommend it. And you know, if you haven't done indigo dyeing at all, when you put the indigo in the bucket, or your fabric in the bucket, and then you pull it out, it's like this crazy chrome green, right? Like neon green almost. And then when it hits the air, the color starts to oxidize, and that's when you get the blue. So it's like magic. It's so delicious and super cool. Pardon me. So I totally recommend that. Pardon me. So let me show you a little bit about these ring bands I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to adjust you guys so you can see what's happening right here on my work surface. There we go. I think you guys can kind of see that okay. What do you reckon? It's all right, right? Okay. So, good. So I have a customer who wants to do some rings with these old Liberty dollars. And she said that she found them in her dad's safe deposit box, right? And, you know, I think everybody's dad or grandpa had a couple of these floating around. I know my granddad did. I have them tucked away at home. But she wants to make kind of a cool statement ring for her and for each of her sisters. So I think it's going to look pretty cool. It's going to be pretty big and bold and luscious. But something like this, that's this heavy, needs to have a pretty substantial ring band for it. So what I'm using is, I'm going to use 18 gauge sterling silver sheet. And you know, you can buy ring bands or band stock that looks like this. Let me grab it so you guys can see it. This is just regular prefabricated ring stock, right? But this is pretty narrow. It's about 5 millimeters in width. And something this big, pardon me, needs something a little bit heavier. So I'm going to make it out of this stock here. So the thing when you're making a ring band, if you use pre-made stock, it's nice and finished on the ends and it's cut really straight, right? So you don't need to do a lot of finishing on it. So one of my main struggles is getting this super straight. So one of the tools that I use, this is called a divider. Now I'm going to make this ring band. Let me put on my glasses so I can see what's happening. I measured her finger for the width of the band, and she wanted the band to be about 8 millimeters wide. So if I hold up my millimeter gauge so you guys can see it here, it's a little difficult to see on camera, but oh, when braided, No, I think you could do some braided wire for sure. I would probably flatten it though. That's something I might do in my rolling mill or with a hammer. Flatten that out. I bet that would work. But here's my 8mm. Let me get it to 8. It would look good with the coin, the braid, for sure. And if I did that, maybe I would twist it instead. Maybe I'd twist like several pieces of 20 gauge or something together so it's a big fat twist, and then I might flatten it. That might look kind of cool. So here is my width, and I'm going to use my, just to make sure, to double check, I know that this is 8mm wide. Now I'm going to open up the tips of my divider, and I'm going to match them to my millimeter gauge. So this divider now is open that 8mm width. Okay. Then let me clear a spot. Here's my sheet, my 18 gauge sterling silver. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the edge of my divider, and I'm going to scribe right on down, and that gives me, can you see that there? You can kind of see that line that's been scribed across. See how nice and straight that is? That way, I'm not fiddling around with like a Sharpie marker and my little, ruler to try and write, draw it really, really cleanly. And then, oh, Krista, you're so nice. Then what I'll do is I'm going to take this over to my shear, and I'll just shear it off right at this line. Or I'll use my jeweler saw to saw a nice straight line down that, right down that mark. I also use it, let me grab some here, I also use it on bezel wire as well. And I can just come in and I would mark, I would measure my stone. Let's say that I were going to make a bezel for this guy. And I would just close this up just a little bit here, have it go a little bit taller, and then I'd come and I'd mark along. And I could get a nice straight line on my bezel wire that way as well. Yeah, the bezel's the frame around the coin. So what I'm going to do is the bezel wire I'm actually going to use is this, serrated wire here, which I feel kind of looks kind of like, it's super, well, it's not super easy, but it's pretty easy to do. And I think that bezel will kind of resembles, the marks on the side of the coin, and I think it'll look pretty nice that way. And then these little edges is what folds it over. So that's how we do that bezel. Then one more tip for when I'm doing something like this piece. I can, you could bezel that sea glass for sure. That's always fun to work with. Oh, that's a really good question, Krista. I'm going to get to that. Hold that point about how I'm going to back the coin, because I am going to show you how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to do something special with it. So after I've done the bezel, or after I've measured my bezel wire on here, since this coin is so big, I'm not going to try and cut out a circle to make this fit perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make my nice round bezel. Those of you who were watching last week saw me solder a bezel like this closed. So I would cut it, size it, and solder it closed. Then I would solder it, let's pretend that this wire isn't here. Then I would solder it right onto this back plate here. Then I would cut around this bezel like so, just like that, to remove this extra. So the fit will be perfect. Instead of trying to cut a round circle out of this to fit this beforehand, it's a little more difficult to do it that way. So cut and fit it after you've made the bezel. Then, since the back of the coin is also pretty cool, I'm going to use my disc cutter. Let me go grab it. What was that question? Yeah, all the rings are going to be the same for matching. Hold that thought there, you guys. I'm going to grab something over here, way over here by the Indigo. I'm going to actually cut out the back of the coin, or the back of the back plate of the coin, using my disc cutter here. So I'll cut this open, cut that a hole in there first, then solder on my bezel wire so it's even. Then when I make the ring and then throw that in there, this back side will be open like so. So you'll be able to see the back. I think it'll look cool. And then for the bands, as I said, as I started, talked about earlier, I'm going to do the bands out of this heavier gauge. So I know bracelets would be cool too, but you know what? Rings are my super favorite, so they're my favorite thing to make. So I'm actually pretty stoked that they wanted rings instead. So that's what I'm going to be working on a little bit later today, are these three guys here. So the tips to remember with this is, just to reiterate, there's my back plate. Measure your bezel wire around your piece first, then solder it onto the back plate, cut everything out around, and if you do want a hole or something through there, go ahead and cut that hole first before you solder anything to it. And then the last thing I'll do is solder on the ring band. Yeah, did you ever do that when you were a kid? Squish the coin? I think that's why I got a rolling mill, so I can squish things in it. I love that. Right, yes, the rolling mill is, my rolling mill sitting right over there. I'll do a rolling mill demo someday for you guys. Let me show you a few things that I am going to use to plan my 2016. Can it switch coin? Oh, a rolling mill? Can it squish coins? For sure. A rolling mill can flatten any metal, really, squeeze it down. Have you seen like those penny machines that you get, right? Like a smash penny machine, like you go to, I don't know, Mount Vernon, right? And you get a smash penny. That's kind of what a rolling mill is exactly like. So you put your metal through and the rollers roll and then it flattens your metal out. So I'll do a rolling mill demo sometime for you guys to see, because I use a lot to pattern metal. It's super, super convenient. Well, it's my job. So let me share with you guys some of the things that I'm going to be using for 2016 to do some planning. I'm going to put you guys back up here so you're not quite so down there. I know, smash pennies. My mom, it's my favorite. I love smash pennies. I have a whole collection of them from since I was little. I love them. Someday I'm going to make them into a bracelet or something. I don't know what. It'll be a lot of bracelets. Or spoons. Yeah, we can totally smash spoons. We did have a big spoon collection at one time. So some of the things that I use to plan, I want to share with you. And a lot of times I think people always say, Kate, I want to keep a hold of my ideas. I want to, plan out my jewelry, but I don't know how to draw. And you know what? I don't know how to draw either. So, but I wanted to share, oh, there are my bills. Let me take those out. But I wanted to share some ideas with you. Let me find a page. Oh, let me show you this page. Right, no bills. This is just a little book that has graph paper in it, and I got it at my local flats store. And this is an idea that I got from my friend Lori. She does a lot of stamping, and she uses, let me put that really way up close. She uses aluminum tape to test out her metal stamps. So it would be like my metal stamp like this, right? And I just push it into the tape or hammer it into the tape. And that helps me practice different designs, right? So I was doing, you can see those are sugar skulls. I was playing around with some different designs for that. And you know, come on you guys, I am no drawer. You can see that, right? Totally. But who cares? I'm the only one who's gonna see it, or if I let you guys see it. So, you know, who cares? It starts to let you figure out how to lay things out, and also how to remember things. Here's some ideas just for some earring ideas. Not super beautifully done, but you know, at least I've got my ideas down on paper. And I think that the graph paper journal really helps me to lay things out. Here's a picture that my mom did of a quilt that we're doing, right? So I have it in a book right here, so I know it's there and I can refer to it. So working with the graph paper, I think helps you lay things out, right? So this is just a little journal that I keep, and I also hang on to different ideas. This is an idea about an e-course I'm going to be doing in the new year for you guys to be learning about. And then I just keep it kind of in this cool little planner all together. It's an old vintage thing that, again, my friend Emily gave me. But this is something that I wanted to share with you because this kind of takes planning one step further. And I don't know if you can see that right here, but can you see how that's called? It's called a passion planner. Now, this was something that I wanted. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the e-courses as well. I think they're going to be super fun. This is something I saw online a while back, and it was written by this woman who wanted to start getting her ideas down on paper. And for those of us who really love paper and like to write down their ideas. And you can go to, I guess it's passionplanner.com. Anyway, my friend Winnie bought this for me. And it starts out with, let me get to this part here. You can put in a month like this, and you can write down all the days and stuff. And then, whoops, who's calling me? Sorry. Then you can write down, I know it's backwards so it's hard to see, but you can write notes, you can plan things, but there's also a cool thing in the back where you can kind of reflect over the months and start to plan out your ideas. And essentially you start with kind of like a mind map, and you write down your goals and small goals and then expand those goals. And you know, I'm a writer. I like to write things down, and I'm not particularly explaining this super well, but you can go online to Passion Planner. And I've always wanted one, and it was the coolest thing. My friend Winnie at my studio event on Saturday brought this to me, and it's like one of the best gifts I've gotten all year. And it's really helping me plan, taking the stuff that I have in this notebook, right, and making it come to life here. So you can jump online, passionplanner.com. They'll explain it a lot better than I can, but I'm pretty stoked about it, and I'm pretty excited. Let me peek in. I'm pretty excited to take these, to take some of my ideas and put them into action. Let me hold you guys up a little bit so I'm not leaning so much here. So that's what I've got coming up. There's a lot of cool stuff. There we go. We're straight up and down. I've got a lot of cool stuff coming up for 2016. The beginning of the year, I'm going to be putting out an e-course on, I think, a couple of cool things that you guys will like. And you'll be able to just sign up for it, and we'll work right along together. And I think it's going to be a pretty cool thing. So that'll be coming right at the beginning of the year. So stay tuned for that. I also have a lot of great stuff coming up in the studio, like I said. So if you are in the Bay Area, I want to see you right here. It would be awesome. And, oh, the last thing, I got one more tool that I wanted to show you guys, and then I'll ring off. because I've got to get those rings made. Some of you remember my friend Rachel. Again, it's backwards here. Oh, look, someone left me a message. Nothing like live TV or live internet, whatever. My friend Rachel, Sudlow, SUDLOW.etsy.com. She makes these really cool little stamps, and some of you know I've really been working with a lot of stamping lately. Look at how cool those little tiny metal stamps are. So I'll be using that in some of my latest designs. But I wanted to share those because they're so super cool. She makes them out of masonry nails. Look at how tiny they are. They're really cool. Let me show this really up close. Can you? Maybe that way. I don't know. They're so teeny, they're hard to see. I need to remember the camera's right there, not over there. But they're cool, so I love them. So today, gosh, I think we're 1 week away from Christmas, right? If you're watching this later and it's in the middle of summer, thank goodness we have sunshine. But for right now, when I'm doing this live, we're just a week away from Christmas. So next Friday, I'm actually not going to be broadcasting because I will be eating dinner and opening presents, and hopefully all of you guys will be as well, or taking it easy or celebrating the season, however you celebrate it. But then I'll be back with some more cool stuff. 2016 is going to be epic around here, you guys. I'm pretty excited, pretty stoked. So just to go over what we've done today, we talked about indigo dyeing. We've got the indigo dye. It's on my Etsy site. You can find it there. We also talked about sizing and working, doing ring bands. And just to mention, if you go to my website at katerichbourg.com, there's a list of the free classes that I do right at the bottom of the page. There's a great ring making class that I do. It's free. It's on beaducation.com. And if you click on that link at the bottom of my website, it'll take you right over to my free classes on Beach Education. And you can watch much more in depth about me soldering and stuff like that. So if making rings interests you at all, and you want some more tips and tricks and stuff like that, jump on over to Beach Education. And I think it's just making a ring or cabochon ring or something like that. It's pretty easy. And then the last thing we talked about is planning for 2016 using this passion planner and creating some cool stuff that way. So that's what I've got, you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me here. I'm Kate Richbourg, live from my jewelry studio. And happy holidays to everybody. Oh, thank you, Becky. I'm so glad you like the Beaducation classes. It's a total labor of love. I love those guys, so I like to get that education out there. So bye, Ma. I'll see you soon. Bye, you guys. I hope to see you guys soon. Have a safe, healthy, and happy holidays, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.